Hello and welcome to Cindy's Micro Summit, Healing the Wounds. And I'm your host, Cindy Lybbert, and my guest today is Tom Corner, who lives in Pennsylvania. And Tom Corner specializes in helping accomplished men and women who've hit the wall of frustration to find a deep level of meaning and fulfillment. His drive is to help awaken those who are sleepwalking through life and helping people of all ages find their path in life. He has welcomed success into his life in pursuit of his dreams and desires of attracting love, laughter, and abundance. His passion includes health and fitness, mindfulness, and deep spiritual exploration. Welcome, Tom.
Cindy, it's an honor to be here, and I look forward to a wonderful dialogue with you. Thank you.
Yes, it's going to be wonderful. I'm looking forward to it also. I like the title that you've chosen, which is called F.E.A.R, and it's abbreviation for Finding Enlightenment After Rage. And in your latest book called Borrowed Eyes and Feet, Finding Enlightenment After Rage, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. Yes, this is my fifth book, and it's my personal memoir. The subtitle of it is My Year of Enlightenment, but I wrote it because I carried a lot of anger, a lot of self-sabotaging beliefs and activities throughout my life, and I really hit a breaking point. And the title of it, Borrowed Eyes and Feet, came to me in a meditation, as many of my book titles do. And the acronym F.E.A.R, yes, Finding Enlightenment After Rage, I decided a life of anger was not a life worth living, and I had to end it. And there's really only two choices when you step up and have that, you ask yourself that question, which I hope many people don't have to. So I had two choices, and I'm glad I chose the right one to remain here. And I did a 180, and I published my memoir because writing for me, Cindy, is very cathartic and therapeutic. And I write really selfishly for myself, but also to help other people that might be experiencing similar things that I've gone through, and to turn around and actually find what our true strength is, and that's love. And it's interesting because people will shy away if somebody says, "Hey, I love you." Like, you have the word love hanging on the wall behind you, and that is our true strength. And so that's what my book in a synopsis is about. It's really it's in chronological order, My Year of Enlightenment, where events happened throughout that year of 2016, and I reflect on my life of, okay, well, why am I where I'm at in my life right now, and why do I react certain ways to certain things, events, or people in my life? And it's all based on um, our belief system. And I just got done listening to Bruce Lipton's Biology of Belief, and he just ends talking about that. Is we're programmed, and I've always had a deep down belief, Cindy, that and I had no basis for this growing up, that we were, as he says, programmed at an early age. I had no basis for it, but I had this inner belief that we were. And through my practice and research and reading and just self exploration, it's true. And and we can change it, which is awesome.
Yes. Yeah, I hear you there too. I didn't, I'm with you. There's a lot I didn't understand and know about our beliefs and our thoughts and our programming is when we were children until, 20 years ago, I started getting this enlightenment and like changing our limited beliefs. So that's perfect. I agree with you there. I wish I'd known this stuff back then, but better late than never, right?
Well, I believe also that that's a part of our journey, and it was intended to be that way, because I've had a lot of struggles, and and I still do, but I wouldn't have gone down the path that I'm going now and being on a podcast with you if I didn't if it didn't happen the way it did, if I didn't struggle and suffer. And yes, I always go back and say, oh man, if I knew this sooner, but it's just the way it's supposed to be.
Yes. Yes. Can you talk to us about the mosh pit of your mind?
Yes. So in my book, I talk about, I talk about the mosh pit of your mind. And this came about when I was doing a presentation to my niece's school, elementary school, and also a month later, during that year, which I capture in my book, my daughter's school, and I'm talking. So I first started writing books, children's books, because I wanted my kids to find self-acceptance, inner peace, just understand what life is about, and to realize that our struggles and suffering actually is a learning opportunity. It's not the end of the world. So I wrote children's books because I wanted my kids to find it sooner than I did. And by writing children's books, I could also potentially help anybody else. And the great thing is too, even though they're children's books, Cindy, they're really for adults. and that's the great thing. The message is if an adult reads it to their child, the adult hopefully will get the message as well. But I was talking about my second book, Positive Thoughts, Positive Life. And I was setting my computer up and the remote clicker, so it would connect to the projector and go on the screen. And both times I did it, it didn't work. And I learned over the years in business that things don't go right. But it was a matter of, and this was after years of learning to meditate, after decades of listening to Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, learning to recite affirmations, that I realized that when that happened, I believe I heightened my awareness, and I was aware of the thoughts that entered my mind, right? And the thoughts that entered my mind, I carried them from childhood that, oops, well, projector doesn't work because you're going to fail at this. You're not supposed to be here. They're going to laugh at you. And most people, I believe, aren't aware of that. And if we're able to be present and listen to what we say to ourselves, we're really mean to ourselves as a general statement. And so I realized that our mind processes 50 to 70,000 thoughts in a single day. And in order for people to understand what that means, is I've been in mosh pits at rock concerts, and it can be very, very scary. Some can be violent. They're very physical. And when you're in a mosh pit, you're just bouncing around off of people and you're getting knocked around. And if you try to get out, people will push you back in. And I realized that was, in a way, my mind. And if my thoughts are more or less negative and self-sabotaging, I realized, wow, that's going to translate into how my day is going to end up, how my week, my month, my year, my life is going to end up. And I realized that I can change it, but it took years, Cindy, because I would throw a positive thought in there and say, no, I love you. You deserve success. But the overwhelming negativity stomped on it and said, no, that's not true. So learning to throw affirmations in there and also challenge those thoughts to say, are they really true? Is it really, really true what I'm thinking? So I'm able to realize that, okay, I can have fun with this, that my mind has been trained to defeat myself. And I can say it's not true. That's not true. It's never been devastating, and I've never died when something went wrong when I spoke in front of people, but the mind thinks we're going to die. And so I just said, I've been through this before. This is meant to happen because this is a learning experience. Plus, it was meant to happen so I could share the story with people. And so the mosh pit of our mind are these tens of thousands of thoughts a day. If we learn to be nice to ourselves and recite affirmations, and I do it hundreds of times a day, I do it when I lay my head on the pillow at night. I do it in the morning when I get up, because I had to learn over time to change and shift my mind. So that's where the mosh pit of my mind comes from. And I realized it with these elementary school kids when I was talking to them, telling them a story about my daughter and her getting one word wrong on a spelling test in first grade. Long story short, I asked them, what do you think she was saying to herself when she got one word wrong out of 20? And the word was nutrition, which is a really difficult word to spell in first grade. And all these kids started saying, I'm bad, I'm stupid. And it just broke my heart until a little girl in the back for both assemblies said, I gave it my best. Her mindset and her shift is going to enable her to maybe do more things potentially, or not struggle as much, because she has that affirmation where if I'm stupid, if I'm dumb, I don't deserve it. If we don't see that and we don't stop it, it's going to snowball. So that's where the mosh pit of your mind comes from.
Thank you. That actually leads into my next question. How did the deliberate practice of meditation and recitations of affirmations help change your mindset?
And it exactly did that, but it took place gradually over years. I'm talking decades. So it was a matter of, this is now my deliberate practice where I have affirmations that I recite to myself every day, whether it's an affirmation I created or it's a line that I have read from A Course in Miracles, or a line I read from Eckhart Tolle. But I've learned through meditation, to quiet my mind. And they always say, when you're meditating, you don't think it works, it's actually working. But to quiet my mind, but also once I'm done meditating, when life happens, is to be able to pay attention to my mindset and how I'm reacting to people and things. And I'm saying affirmations to myself hundreds of times a day, just not out loud. I will say them out loud once in a while, but this took place over years. So I enrolled in what Zig Ziglar used to refer to as Automobile University. And when I was traveling a lot, I would listen to audiobooks, Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn about business and success, Dr. Wayne Dyer. And I still listen to Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it always just brings me to tears, because I hear, every time I listen to him, I hear something more profound, because I just was not resonating on that level of energy, and I wasn't able to receive it. So 20 years ago, when I listened to him, Cindy, I would be so angry. I would become so upset, because he was talking about this enlightenment, this alignment, change your thoughts, change your life. And I said, it's all garbage. It doesn't work. And I believe most people do that because I have a mindset in this society that it has to be instant. And if it doesn't happen right away, it doesn't work. But slowly over 20 some years, I kept listening. I kept coming back, and they were training me. And eventually the other part of it, and this is what you're doing, and I thank you for what you're doing. I have a life coach. So I've worked with a life coach for 5, 6, 7 years now, which has really catapulted me, because she holds the focus. She listens to me. She's not judging. She's holding the focus and channeling my energy, which is what you do. And it's amazing. And breaking away limiting beliefs. And I tell people I wouldn't be on this podcast with you if it weren't for my life coach helping me and taking these steps to listen to these leaders, these mentors. And another big part of it too was, I believe you have to believe in something. Whether you call it, I'm not going to get spiritual, because sometimes people shy away when you talk about spirituality, but you have to believe in something. And I'll call it love. I believe we all emanate from love, and you can define love however you want. But listen to Wayne Dyer and what he talks about with love. But A Course in Miracles was was really something else that allowed me to believe and see how to forgive and how to love. So over years, gradually, it slowly worked, and then suddenly it worked. But meditation, affirmations, reciting affirmations, and doing it on a constant basis has proven very, very successful for me, along with my life coach who holds the focus for me when I have wandering thoughts and become out of balance.
Yes. I like how you mentioned that there's steps that we have to take to get where we want to be or where we are going, need to go. So,
Yes.
through my life, once I learned I had to go through this healing process, it took steps. And at this time I didn't realize it, but things just kind of like fell into place. Well, talk to us about whether things create our thoughts or our thoughts create things. And how can this help us with bullying and self-image?
Yeah. I say that because I've learned that from listening to Abraham Hicks, listening to Wayne Dyer, listening to Bruce Lipton. If you really pay attention to it, the more we are able to be here now, be present, and listen to pay attention to our thoughts. The question is, most people think that they have to see something before they believe it. So those things that they see create thoughts about it, which is true. But on the flip side is, what about our thoughts? Do they create things? Do they allow things to manifest in our life? Most people, even if they want to believe it, they don't, because it's not there for them to grasp. But they can't, it's not there. So they say, if I'm thinking about it and it's not there, it doesn't exist, it'll never exist. But if you think about what we've done as a human race, you think about, I say, what I'm doing with you now on the computer or over the phone, and I'm able to talk to you. The iPhone was an idea that Steve Jobs and the people he worked with came up with. It was an idea. It didn't exist. And he sure as heck made sure it worked, and it happened. And look where we're at today. And I say, the fact that we landed on the moon, or the Wright brothers flying, that was a thought. And if they just say, well, that's not possible, there's no way, they would have stopped. But their belief and their thoughts led to those things. And that's what happens in our life. And it's about setting goals. It's about visualizing, and it's about paying attention to our thoughts, because goal setting is awesome, but at times goal setting is not. People say goal setting doesn't work, but if I set a goal and I don't even think about it and I just put it away for a year, it may not work. And you say it doesn't work, but the more I focus on it and think about it and allow it to change as my life changes, our thoughts lead to all these things. And again, it led to me speaking with you about what you're doing and about my books, because I thought about writing books for the longest time. I just didn't believe I could do it. And then I slowly broke away those self-sabotaging thoughts, and I'm working on my 6th book, which is a miracle.
That's wonderful.
And so to your question about, okay, well, how's that translate into bullying? And I believe it's a mindset. I believe that we attract that into our lives. And I've attracted it. I know, like, going into business meetings or being in places, if I'm really aware of what my thoughts are, okay, I don't belong here. People here are better than me, or they're stronger than me. I believe that I'm attracting that into my life. Or if they come up, somebody bigger, more successful than me comes up to me, I'm allowing them to bully me because I believe that I don't deserve to be there. So I believe it's a mindset, and that's hard to fathom. it's hard to understand because you could just walk down the hallway at school and some knucklehead comes up and picks on you. But it's a mindset where I allow that to happen in my life. Plus, it's the bully. And this is what I'm talking about in my next book. Like, how do we become jerks? Why do we become jerks? We're bullies. And it's because maybe as a bully, I feel inferior, and that's my upbringing. I don't know any better. And so it's tough because we want to get angry at the bully and we want to punish them and retaliate. But if I understand that maybe that's all they know, and if I can find my strength within to say, you know what, okay, the mosh pit of my mind's starting up. This bully's going to pick on me, and they pick on me. If I'm able to say, you know what, I, I, I deserve, I'm worthy and deserving of the best. I give my best, and my best is good enough. And I would do this going into business meetings, Cindy. I would recite an affirmation that I attract honor, respect, and dignity for myself and for others, because I would go into business meetings and I would be intimidated. And the more I recited that affirmation, the more the meetings worked out so well, because I just said, I'm not going to resist. I'm not going to allow my fears to allow me to become maybe a victim. I'm going to learn to say, I give my best is good enough. I attract honor, respect, and dignity for those that I'm meeting with. And I'm going to meet somebody new today, and I'm going to deepen a relationship for the better. And it works. But you've got to give it time, because here's the other part of it. When you say these things, as a person recites an affirmation, where do you feel it in your body? For me, it was always in my shoulders and my chest and my jaw. And so if I said, I love you, Tom, I could feel my body resisting it. I don't believe it. Then if I shift it to say, I'm willing to learn to love you, I'm not committed to saying I love you. That's a lot. If I'm willing to take the step to say I'm brave, I'm strong enough, and I can stand on my own, I'll be able to do it. But if I say, going from feeling like I'm being a victim and bullied, that I'm strong and I can stand up, I'm not going to do it, because I'm going to resist somewhere. But if I take that step, and this is coming from Louise Hay's mirror work, I'm willing to learn to love you. Willing eventually becomes, I'm learning to love you. And then eventually you say, I love you, and you can do it.
Yes, that's so true. I love Louise Hay and her work.
Yes.
I use it too, and the mirror work, and so need to work on that.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see, in your memoir, you talk about cutting. Why do you think you did it, and how did you survive?
Yeah, and I talk about that in my memoir, because I carried a lot of anger. My memoir talks about, again, why was I so angry? I believe it was because, and again, Bruce Lipton talks about this, my parents got divorced when I was young, around 6 years old. And I believe that from a mindset, subconscious standpoint, we have to survive. And when we're 6 years old, we need to rely on adult figureheads, our parents, to protect us and keep us safe, because we can't. And when that's in jeopardy, which is okay. My parents are still great friends to this day. But what happened was, and my life coach helped me realize this, their priorities shifted because they're in a way in survival mode. My father had to take care of my two brothers that lived with him. And then me and my oldest brother lived with my mother. And my mother had to somehow find a way to provide for us. And back in the 70s, women couldn't go out and get a career. You just didn't do it. And so she was in survival mode to find someone to fall in love with again, and that could provide for her kids, right? I don't know that as a 6, 7, 8 year old. All I see is it's broken apart. And then they're trying to rebuild their love life. And if those adult figureheads, step parents, come in and they can't give the love, that I'm looking for, or they have a difficult time accepting stepkids, for me, they weren't able to accept me. And I had a really difficult time with it. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that foundation of support and love fell away from me. And I wanted it, and I yearned for it. And I talk about this because I saw this in a friend, my daughter's friend, who was going through something similar, and she was always acting up, trying to get attention. And I was so mad at her because she was being so annoying. And I realized that was me. I was mad at her. And I still get choked up talking about it. I was so mad at her because I felt like her. And I had no control when I'm 10 or 12 on my life. And my parents aren't there. You act up because you want love. And then they say, you're annoying, go away. And so eventually I put up this wall that I shut everyone out. And my parents loved me. The love never stopped, but I couldn't receive it any longer, Cindy. And I blocked it out. And so I internalized it. And then that led to cutting. It led to cigarette burning. It led to drinking. And I carried those scars, and I still have them, of course, in shame. And I said, I can't. I'm tired of being afraid, and I need to face this and figure it out. And there's 2 million people apparently a year that self-mutilate. And there's another way around it. But people want to, it's hard. People want to judge. People want to rescue. Parents want to rescue. And that's the hard thing about being a parent, is just to listen, because parents have to save their kids. And it's really, really hard. And so that's where it came from, is that my foundation fell apart, and I carry that into adulthood. And many people do, and they may never know why, or they may not want to admit it. And it's empowering. It hurts, it stinks, but it's awesome, because there is another way to live, and there's another way to love ourselves, and we can achieve everything and anything we set our mind to once we break away we pay attention to the mosh pit of our mind, and we have someone to hold the focus for us, and we create this deliberate practice of affirmations and being nice to ourselves.
Yeah, thank you. That was some good advice. Good words you shared with us. I love the information that you've shared with us today, and you're just a wonderful example for everybody. And the work that you're doing, I just commend you for that and moving forward. Growing up,
Well, thank you. You as well.
Age, younger children, we had parents. I had parents the same way. They were farmers, and my mother had to go back to work after raising 9 children. And there weren't, like you said, there weren't many choices out there. And
right.
they were trying to grow up with their habits and ways of thinking too. So I know there were times when I sound like my mother. So let's see. I loved how you talked about true strength. True strength is loving ourselves, and that challenges are a learning opportunity. So can you tell us about the free gift that you have to offer?
Yes, Cindy. Thank you. I would be happy to provide an e-version of my book to the first 5 listeners who, when you're on the website, Cindy will provide my information, send me an email, and I'll be more than happy to send you a free copy of my book.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your time that you spent with us today, and for all of Tom's information and where to get the free gift, and more about him will be listed below. So we hope to see you again tomorrow. And thank you, everyone. And thank you, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Cindy. It was wonderful speaking with you. Thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for everybody listening and taking the positive steps in your life to just do better and love yourself and love everyone in your life. Thank you.
Thank you. Blessings to you.
You too.
Bye for now.